I've never been to the Holy Land. I hope to soon, but I've read that in the Middle East, there are basically two seasons. You have the rainy season and you have the dry season. The rainy season is from November to February. And about 70% of the precipitation that takes place in the year happens during that time. Then you have the dry season from March to October. And I read that even from June to October, there's no rain at all. And they have what's called the east wind, Rhetorical. You know, the Bible even mentions it several times. The east wind, very hot, very dry. It can dehydrate human being, an animal, vegetation alike. And if it blows hard enough and long enough, it can be devastating, destructive, violent. It can even kill. And then there's the very fine, gritty dust of the Middle East. When you have that east wind, sometimes you have these dust clouds, these dust storms that pervade everything. It gets into your clothing, your hair, it's in your places where you live. For any of you who try to keep a house clean from dust, it's times by thousands in that kind of environment. And Jesus calls his disciples into that hostile environment. And once more, even going into that environment which is unpleasant, unkind, with no provisions. Knowing full well that when going into that environment, there will probably be people there who will reject them. You know, I was thinking about this, metaphorically. How we too experience the same thing. How many of us have not experienced a time where we were in an unpleasant place? Has anyone here ever experienced a time in their life where they were not prepared? Or has anyone here never experienced being rejected or hurt by another person? All of us have experienced to some extent these very things. I call that the dust of life. We've all accumulated some dust upon us in life, and it happens in many ways. We can go just on our natural way of life and walk into the valleys and the hills of life. The ups and the downs, the successes and failures. And we accumulate some of that dust and that dirt and that grit and that fine, gritty dust. Sometimes we're in life and we just fall flat on our face. And it gets all on us. We make a mess of our lives. It can be tragic. You know, it can be overcome. And then there are times when we just sit down in it. We give up because we're overwhelmed. And that's unfortunate because it's one thing to play the game and lose. It's another to just forfeit the game. And that's not the gospel. That's not the mission of the Christian disciple. All of this grit, this dust of life, can overcome us. You know, I was just thinking about all of the archaeological sites in the Middle East. And you know, in order to find these things, they have to dig down through the grit and the dust and the dirt that have accumulated over the hundreds, if not thousands of years that have become heavy, and they dig down to find the planet. That metaphorically can happen to us if we do not keep on top of this. It can overwhelm us. It can get, even though it's light and fine to begin with, it can accumulate and get heavy and overwhelm us, bury us. What is the dust of life? Let me just give you a glimpse of this. When I work as a priest, I come across this as I minister to many people. Whether it be in the confessional or in my office, or when I'm ministering out in the community. Let me just give you a glimpse, just a sample of the dust of life. I wrote these things down last night, just to brainstorm. Abandonment, failure, low self-esteem, depression, hatred, lust, selfishness, greed, illness, addiction, grief, doubt, despair. All of us, have experienced to some extent, to some degree, this dust, this grit, this dirt of life. And here's the good news. The gospel message. Jesus says, shake off this dust. Be rid of it. Leave it. I give you authority over these demons. Shake it off. Be cleansed. Don't burden yourself with this anymore. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't be buried by it. And so how do we do that? Jesus does not abandon us. He tells us in the Scriptures, I give you the Paraclete, the Advocate, the Companion, who will give you that grace and give you that strength, who will guide you along that way when we sometimes enter into that valley of dust. He is there with us in the Holy Spirit. And then Jesus instituted the church. Begins by being cleansed of that dust in baptism. Continually being able to shake off that dust in the sacrament of reconciliation. And continually being fortified and strengthened as we walk into that hostile environment, as we journey through that, with the fortification of the strength of the Eucharist. And just as the disciples went out 2 by 2, we also go out together as a community to support each other, to minister and serve and witness to each other. You know, one of the things, when those disciples went out 2 by 2, the first to whom they would witness and serve was to each other. They became master and servant to one another. When one needed spiritual help, then that person became the master, and the other then the servant to help their spiritual need. We are called to do the same. And we have that same support. This wonderful, beautiful institution of the church, where grace abounds and is provided for all of us, so that we can shake off that dust and be cleansed. I remember a story from one of my teachers, not here, but from a previous parish assignment. She was saying that it was after, I think, the new recess. She had one of the younger classes. And a few of the boys in her class were just filthy. They could have in some dirt. Their whole body, clothes, face, and hands were all filthy. And before letting them into the classroom, she was literally shaking the dust off of them. And she says to them, go into the bathroom, wash your face and your hands. This little boys did. They came out. One of the boys still had dirty hands, and she said, well, I see you washed your face, but your hands were still dirty. Didn't you wash your hands? The little boy said, yes. Well, why are your hands dirty? And he looked instantly, because I washed my face. You know, there's an old saying, and I think you're all familiar with it. Cleanliness is next to being clean. Shake off the dust, the grit, and the dirt of sin. Don't be overwhelmed by it. Jesus says, I give you authority to rid yourself of these demons. St. Paul reminds us in our second reading. God the Father, in Jesus Christ, chose us from the foundation of the world to be holy and without blemish in Him. Shake off the dust, my friends. Be clean. Because cleanliness is next to God.